There are two great dangers in life. The first is to believe that small sins do not matter, and the second is to assume there will always be time to correct them later. But the truth is far more sobering. The habits we form, the choices we make, even in the smallest details of our morning routine, are shaping us into the kind of people we will become. They are either turning us into creatures of light, who live with purpose and gratitude, or creatures of darkness, who drift through life thoughtlessly, unaware that they are slipping further from what is good and true. It is not the great dramatic failures that lead most people astray. It is the quiet, unchallenged habits that slowly, almost imperceptibly pull them toward ruin. A man does not wake up one day and find that he has abandoned his faith, lost his integrity, or wasted his life. No, these things happen in increments, in the small decisions of each day, particularly in those first moments after we rise from sleep. Let us then examine 4 such habits which, if left unchecked, will not only weaken our character, but anger the very one who has entrusted us with the gift of another day. 1. Wasting the first moments of the day. The way we begin our morning reflects the orientation of our hearts. To wake up and immediately give in to laziness, whether by lying in bed too long, indulging in distractions, or postponing the duties of the day, is not merely a bad habit. It is an act of neglecting the time given to us. Every morning is a fresh start, a new opportunity, and yet how often do we let these moments slip through our fingers without thought or gratitude? 2. Filling the mind with worthless things. If the first thing you do is turn to noise, whether through entertainment, idle gossip, or the endless stream of social media, you are choosing to cloud your mind before it has had a chance to focus on what is truly important. There is nothing wrong with staying informed, but there is something profoundly dangerous about beginning the day with trivialities rather than truth. If your mind is filled with distractions, how can you expect to hear the voice of God? 3. Failing to acknowledge the gift of life. Gratitude is not merely a pleasant virtue, it is a fundamental recognition of reality. Every breath you take, every morning you wake, is an undeserved gift. To rise and fail to acknowledge this is not just forgetfulness, it is ingratitude. And ingratitude leads to entitlement, which darkens the heart and blinds the soul to the richness of life's blessing. 4. Avoiding the responsibilities of the day. Each of us has been given work to do, duties both great and small, responsibilities that are not mere obligations but opportunities to serve, to grow, and to bring order to the world around us. Yet, how often do we begin the day avoiding what must be done? How often do we postpone the difficult, choosing instead what is easy or comfortable? But duty neglected does not disappear. It only grows heavier with time. The way a person begins their morning is a revealing glimpse into the state of their soul. It is not simply a question of productivity or efficiency, but rather one of reverence and responsibility. Time is a gift, not an entitlement, and to waste the first moments of the day in idleness or distraction is to squander something of great value. A man who wakes with purpose, acknowledging the weight of the day before him, sets himself on a path toward order and meaning. But a man who delays, who lingers in bed long after he ought to have risen, who drifts aimlessly through his first waking moments, is not merely being lazy, he is surrendering to disorder. The problem with such habits is not that they are dramatic or scandalous. Rather, they are subtle, creeping in unnoticed until they become the norm. At first it may seem harmless to delay rising for just a few extra minutes, to scroll mindlessly through a phone before truly beginning the day, but soon This behavior forms a pattern, a way of approaching life that places comfort over duty, passivity over action. And it is here that the real danger lies. A person's first actions in the morning set the tone for the rest of the day. If one begins with discipline, with a conscious effort to rise promptly and attend to what must be done, the rest of the day will likely follow in the same manner. But if one begins with hesitation, with avoidance, then the rest of the day is often marked by the same attitude. The simple act of delaying, of putting off responsibility in the earliest moments, fosters a mindset that welcomes procrastination and disorder in every other area of life. It is important to recognize that wasted time is not neutral, it is destructive. There is no such thing as remaining spiritually or morally stagnant. A person is always moving in one direction or another, toward greater discipline, wisdom and purpose, or toward greater apathy, carelessness and disorder. The first moments of the day are an opportunity to set a course, to choose what kind of person one will be. To wake up and immediately waste those moments is to choose decline, even if it does not feel like a choice in the moment. To waste time in the morning is to disregard the very gift of life itself. Each new day is not owed to us, it is granted. To wake up and take that for granted is to show an alarming lack of gratitude, and ingratitude is no small matter. It is the root of much that is wrong in the human soul. When a person ceases to see their days as gifts, they begin to waste them without thought, and a wasted morning leads to a wasted life. The solution then is simple, but not easy. Rise with purpose. Reject the temptation to delay, to indulge in comfort at the cost of duty. Begin the day as one entrusted with something precious, because you have been. The thoughts we allow into our minds in the first moments of the day set the course for everything that follows. If we begin the morning by filling our minds with triviality, distraction, or outright negativity, we are choosing, whether we realize it or not, to shape our day around those influences. The human mind is not an empty vessel, but a fertile field, constantly being seeded with thoughts and ideas. What is planted there, especially in the early hours, will grow throughout the day. If we begin with wisdom, reflection, and gratitude, we cultivate strength. But if we begin with mindless entertainment, envy, or fear, we cultivate weakness. One of the most common ways this happens today is through the constant consumption of media, whether it be social media, news, or entertainment. The moment a person wakes up, they reach for their phone and begin scrolling. Before they have even taken a breath in silence or gathered their thoughts, they are bombarded with images, opinions, and anxieties from the outside world. This habit does not just consume time, it directs attention away from what truly matters. Instead of using the first moments of the day to focus on purpose, gratitude, or truth, many people fill their minds with distractions that weaken their clarity and resolve. There is something profoundly disorienting about allowing the world to dictate your thoughts before you have even had a chance to establish your own. The news is filled with crises, controversies, and conflicts, many of which have little bearing on one's personal responsibilities. Social media is filled with carefully curated images designed to provoke comparison, dissatisfaction, or anger. Even light-hearted entertainment consumed at the wrong time creates a passive mindset rather than an active one. None of these things, in and of themselves, may seem particularly destructive, but when they become the first thing a person engages with each morning, they subtly but powerfully shape the mind toward distraction rather than discipline. The danger here is not just that these habits waste time, but that they shape perception. If the first thoughts of the day are shaped by noise, then silence, reflection, and wisdom become increasingly difficult to access. A person who begins their morning in this way will often find themselves feeling restless, unfocused, and even agitated throughout the day. They will struggle to maintain a sense of direction because they have already surrendered their mental space to external forces. The alternative is simple, though it requires effort. Instead of reaching for distraction, one must begin the day with discipline. This could mean a moment of silence, a time of prayer, or the reading of something that strengthens the mind rather than scatters it. The goal is to establish order before chaos, to set the mind toward what is good. Those who master this discipline will find that their days are no longer dictated by distraction, but by a clear and steady purpose. To wake up each morning and fail to acknowledge the gift of life is not merely an oversight, it is a dangerous neglect of reality. Life is not something we are owed. It is something granted to us, moment by moment, day by day. Each breath we take is an undeserved mercy, yet many rise from their beds without a second thought to the significance of their existence. They move through their mornings as if time were infinite, as if they were guaranteed another day, another chance, another opportunity to make things right. But the truth is far more sobering. Every morning we wake is a morning that could have been denied to us. And if we do not recognize this, we risk falling into one of the greatest spiritual diseases: ingratitude. Ingratitude does not always manifest as an overt rejection of life's blessings. More often it appears in the form of entitlement, the quiet assumption that we deserve the things we have, that our time belongs solely to us, that we are the masters of our own existence. This is a dangerous illusion. A person who begins the day without gratitude is a person who, whether they realize it or not, is living in defiance of reality. They are blind to the sheer weight of what they have been given, and blindness to blessing inevitably leads to bitterness, restlessness, and dissatisfaction. Gratitude is not simply an emotion, it is a discipline. It must be cultivated intentionally, especially in the first moments of the day. Those who neglect this practice often find themselves adrift, wondering why they feel unfulfilled despite having so much. This is because ingratitude breeds a particular kind of emptiness, a hunger that can never be satisfied. When a person fails to acknowledge the good they already possess, they begin to fixate on what they lack. They compare themselves to others, resent their circumstances, and feel perpetually unsatisfied with their lives. They spend their days chasing things that will never fill the void they have created within themselves. But the cure for this is within reach. It is as simple as taking a moment, before anything else, to acknowledge reality as it is, to rise and say, "I am here. I have been given another day. I did not earn this, yet it has been entrusted to me." This single act of recognition changes the posture of the heart. It transforms the way one sees the day ahead, not as something to be endured, but as something to be stewarded with care. It shifts the focus away from self-pity and toward responsibility, away from resentment and toward gratitude. Those who make this a habit will find that their mornings, and indeed their entire lives, take on a new depth of meaning. They will no longer sleepwalk through existence, taking each moment for granted. Instead, they will live with a keen awareness of the gift they have been given, a gift that demands to be cherished, used wisely, and never wasted.